Good morning.
Good morning, team. How are you doing today?
Very well.
Good morning.
I need more from you guys. Good morning, team.
Good morning.
That's much better. I'm going to take it away. Good morning, Nigeria. I always say that TVC has a finger on the pulse and our eyes constantly on the streets. And if it's a trending story, we're going to tell you guys all about it. In our first story, in a case that's raising eyebrows across Lagos's luxury scene, Justice Alexander Owoye of the Federal High Court in Ikoyi has sentenced one Uzodu Chimaobi, a jeweler based at Atlantic Mall in Lekki, to 4 years in prison for refusing to accept the naira as a legal tender. Now, Chimaobi's company had been tagging high-end jewelry in America, blatantly flouting the CBN Act, which mandates that the naira is the sole legal currency in Nigeria. Now, unluckily for him, the EFCC caught wind of the practice and launched a sting operation against him. Their undercover agent, Owolabi Jude, who posed as a customer and bought a diamond nail bracelet for $5,700. Now, he refused to accept naira and a receipt was issued in dollars. Now, although Chimaobi initially pleaded not guilty to the claims, the court was not swayed. His dollar dreams have now landed him in a prison sentence. This is a tale as old as time. Nigerian luxury dealers selling in dollars. With the inflation rate, that is extremely unfair. But let's take a look at social media. It's unfortunate that this happened. Happiness says, unfortunately, this is the wrong tweet, but this is very unfortunate that this man has gone down for this. And I hope that more luxury retailers take a page out of his book. The naira is our legal currency. And if we do want to fix terms of it with the naira in terms of it being a volatile currency, we must begin to accept naira as the only legal tender. But in our next story, a Nigerian banker has gone viral after candidly sharing his 16-year journey in the industry. One that started with pride and prestige, but ended with disillusionment. Now, banking was once seen as a golden career path, but unfortunately now it's now being described by insiders as draining, underpaying, and thankless. Take a look at what this banker had to say.
My 16th year of working in a commercial bank. I'm not too happy because it's like I've been used for the past 16 years, doing my work diligently. Look at the time now. I'm leaving for work as usual. It's as if I'm being used for the past 16 years. And it's like there's nothing to show for it. If not for that, Jara, commercial bank for Nigeria is not for the weak, especially if you're a junior staff or more. You go suffer, they go suck you like orange, they go suck you dry, and they will throw you away. But me, I'm still here.
Now, his story about being in the banking industry for 16 years and having nothing to show for it has, of course, sparked a wave of reactions online. And many current and former bankers are echoing similar frustrations. So the big question is, how did one of Nigeria's most respected professions become a cautionary tale? And more importantly, is the Nigerian banking sector doing enough to value its people? Now, I will say that there was a boom for banking in the 50s and the 60s. People were going into banking, and it was a very reputable profession. But let's take a look at social media. It's unfortunate that 16 years of his life in this career, nothing to show for it. Kabir says, the first day you step into the banking sector, that is when you should begin to map your exit plan. And if you want a career, then be ready to bank hop. Staying put in one bank will stagnate your career, except in very few cases where you're favored. I've been there and I've done that. We'll take one more tweet. And Apostle says, 16 years, any additional skills learned, any certifications earned, personal development plan, exit strategy. He prayed for favor like a typical Nigerian instead of thinking strategically about his next 16 years. Why would any employer consider giving such a candidate an opportunity? I do agree that he did have some responsibility in terms of upskilling himself. But team, I want you guys to, what do you guys think? Where did we go wrong in the banking industry? Where did we fail and it became, you know, a thankless industry?
Well, there was a time where banking in Nigeria, and it's not even in the 50s, I'm talking about the late 80s, where it was such a flamboyant career to go into. And after a while, that flamboyance started going down. Like one of those guys in the tweet said, you should have some strategy. If you are building a career, you just don't go there and say you have a job and you're there for 16 years. But we don't know if that is the case with this young man. So it might be a little rude to talk about it the way, in that light, thinking maybe the guy didn't improve himself and all that. The truth about it is that marketers in the banks are given very high targets to face, and we've heard all sorts of stories. And at the end of the day, it is not as flamboyant as it used to be.
All right. From my perspective, I'm also towing the line of strategy. What was his strategy when he got in? How did he plan his time while he was there? I don't know whether he had certification on anything. I think that his frustration should be a time of reflection and not putting it out on social media. Maybe he wants others to learn from his mistakes and to learn that, oh, the industry, because I know a lot of bankers who made it, who have even traveled outside the country and are making a kill out of whatever it is they were able to do or achieve in Nigeria. So it's not necessarily a sad tale for everyone in the banking sector, but it's just that how he was strategic at planning himself all this while, it's what will speak for him at the end of the day. So the lesson for anyone in any industry is to plan strategically your exit at the end of the day.
Exactly, and I'm going to be a little bit harsh with this. I tell people, how do you want to stay somewhere for 16 years? You did 1 year, you did 2 years, you did 3 years, you saw that you were not getting better, you stayed there for 16 years. Now you're out, you don't have anything, but guess what? The bank is going to be doing really well. You need to, when you're working for an organization, you always need to think about yourself as well. It's so sad to see that if that's where he's living, and this is to tell other people that whenever you get into an organization, you need to be thinking about your exit plan, you need to be thinking about how to make yourself better as well as making the company better. It's a sad story for him, and I hope that people
talk about the first story. The guy who decides to, is avarice for foreign currency has now landed him in prison. So I think that should be a lesson for everyone. But it should not stop at that guy. Most of our politicians only deal in dollars. That's when allocation is paid, you start seeing naira to the dollar, crashing. And then sometimes when you even meet them, when they do some transactions, it's usually in dollars. So they should extend it beyond that. That guy, private persons, they should extend it to the politicians so that we know that, yes, everyone's hands are clean.
We'll talk about journalism properly. Thank you, team. Moving on, in our next story, a tragic case of love turned violent has shaken the Rivonia area of Johannesburg, where 29-year-old Zimbabwean national Emmanuel Mahamba was killed in a brutal hit and run on Saturday afternoon. Now, Mahamba is originally from Mvuma, Zimbabwe, and he was reportedly caught in a love triangle involving a woman named Ntombi Zodwa and her Ugandan ex-partner. Eyewitnesses say that in a fit of rage, her ex used a Ford Ranger to deliberately run over him multiple times in broad daylight. Now, footage of this horrific scene. Let's see what you guys are saying about this. In our final story, the police have confirmed in Ghana, and a no-nonsense move, that the mayor of Kumasi, Richard Oforia Gemang Boadi, has said that he will kill any cattle that is on the streets. And cattle rangers should be warned and beware, because if from May 2025, any cow that is found wandering freely in markets, streets, or public areas will be slaughtered on the spot. Take a look at what he had to say.
Cattle owner, and you have cattle, and your cattle stray, and they are coming into the domain of KMA, be rest assured that from the 1st of May, those cattle will be killed and be given to the Kumasi Central Prisons for feeding. Especially the areas from the airport leading up to Menchia. I cannot sit here and let visitors get to this beautiful airport, and when they're driving to Menchia, all that they encounter is feces from cattle. This is unacceptable.
Now, the kicker here is that the meat will be distributed to local prisons. He's not going to waste the cows, and it's going to be turned into a source of, shall we say, sustainable food supply. Now, as tensions continue to rise between Nigerian herders and local communities, this Ghanaian mayor's drastic measure could be seen as a proactive attempt to curb similar disputes before they spiral out of control. We've seen what happens when herding goes unchecked, as we saw in Plateau State. It's very, very scary. And funny enough, Ghana does have a herding community. In 2017 to 2021, there were lots of clashes between farmers and herders, and it led to a couple of fatalities. So it's good to see the Ghanaian mayor of Kumasi being this proactive. But before I take some tweets, I'd like you guys to please chime in with the hashtag trending now on TVC. And I promise that I will show your comments on here. Tag us on any social media platform. I promise that we are listening. Now, guys, in regards to this Zimbabwean story, where the man ran over his lover's boyfriend, do you guys think that we should not go back to old school days where people would just slowly poison their lovers? They would take second wives. Now that we have trucks and social media, things are getting out of hand. And Ria, quickly, I'd like you to tell us a bit more seriously about the herding community in Ghana, the Fulani community in Ghana, or what can you tell us about those type of disputes?
Exactly. So I wanted to speak on what Mr. Richard has said, and I want to tell him, Imamwa Yiko, that's a very, very good one, because most of the times why he said that is some of the cattle, you see them at the Manche, just close to when you come out of the airport. So sometimes we have expatriates that come into Kumasi and you are entering into the, the city, you see the cattle, you see the feces and everything. So that's one of the reasons why he said if they don't do that, they will kill the cows and they will eat them and they will take them to the prisons. And we really, really agree with him on that one, because it's sad that you see cattle everywhere by the airport side, the Manche area. So I'm telling him, wait there, on this particular decision that he made.
Well, so the prisoners in Ghana should be warming up.
Yeah. They should warm up. They should warm up.
They'll have enough meat to eat.
Big pieces of meat. For the love triangle story, it is very sad. I don't think there is any reason why anybody should run another person the way that guy ran over repeatedly over the other man. It is a woman's decision. You are not favored no more. Lick your wounds and
no longer in love. They are no longer in love. They are not the only person on earth. You can always find your love elsewhere. Maybe that's one of the attitudes that caused the lady to leave the guy in the first place. Talk about cattle moving, herding around the street on Ghana. We have that in Nigeria. We've been talking about farmer herder crisis. We're talking about these issues. In fact, some farmers are wising up. I wouldn't even say wising up. They are poisoning some of these cows. I mean, yeah, some of these cows. But one thing is, because they eat their crops. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So I'm just saying that lasting solutions should be introduced, should be done by those in authority. But if they do not listen, then drastic measures should be taken. But one thing is, let's have animal control agencies to make sure that we don't have not just cows, not just dogs or any stray animals on the street. They should just keep them at bay where they are supposed to be. Proper ranching is the best way to go. I even recall Nana Akufo-Addo at one point also had a policy that it was a matter of killing any cow you see straying when they had issues, the herder farmer issues at some point in Ghana, and he put a law, kill anyone you find that is straying at a particular point and any time. So it's good to see that they are tightening the news around the activities of herders and ensuring that farmers and other people can be safe at the end of the day. But thank you, Olamide, for those stories. That's the much we can take on the program. Well, this is where we have to draw the curtains on the program for today. Let's let you know that the views and reactions of all our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Up next,